MLS membership. So as part of your dues to West Alabama MLS, you are going to receive TransactionDesk transaction management services. So we have integrated with the MLS account so you can quickly and easily access your TransactionDesk account. So from this home tab, pointing at the Tools section, Tools, you'll see there at the bottom of the list. We'll have to talk about that, maybe try to at least get us in alphabetical order. Also, we stand out better down here at the bottom. Instanet Forms. That is, we call it a single sign-on. So this is where you can automatically, directly, if you will, log into your new member benefit, your TransactionDesk account seamless. No need for usernames or passwords. You've already provided that to the MLS. So by just getting to this page, means that you have access directly to that TransactionDesk service. So clicking here, I'm going to feign the click because this is just a demo account. We're going to show you where the integrations are. And in our follow-up webinars, the Build Better, Faster files, we talk about additional integrations with the MLS, specifically a one-click transaction file. So keep that in mind when you're reviewing MLS details pages. Look for that Instanet link, and or attend our next webinar session about the one-click transaction file. But one integration we're covering today is the essentials of getting logged in for the first time and kind of getting introduced to TransactionDesk. So Instanet Forms, this is where you'll find the link. Listed homepage under the Tools section, Instanet Forms. When you click there for the first time, you are going to be brought to this page. And the first thing we're running through is what's called a pre-flight system check. Now, there's no required proprietary, if you will, downloads. There's no proprietary downloads. All of our services are internet-based to the cloud. This really is managing your sale process through web-based applications. But there are some internet requirements that you want to stick to, things that we officially support. But the first and most prominent here on the page, I'd like to point out, is pop-ups. You really want to allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk. It's just going to enhance the TransactionDesk experience with prompts and calendar icons and features throughout TransactionDesk that pop-ups are going to be a big benefit. If you're, most of you are going to have security settings that aren't going to allow pop-ups right out of the gate, so what you'll get is an error message on this screen that'll say, trying to allow pop-ups. Do you want to allow once, depending what browser you're using and the operating system, but otherwise you're going to get prompted that there's a pop-up trying to happen. So allow those pop-ups from TransactionDesk. Speaking of browser and operating system, we are cross-platform compatible, so we do support both Windows-based PCs and Mac computers. So on a Windows PC, you want to stick to Internet Explorer, Firefox. Those are the ones we officially support. You can use Chrome. It is a little bit different interface, but it is a usable browser if you use Chrome browser, but we do officially support Internet Explorer and Firefox for PCs. If you're on a Mac, any type of Mac device these days, desktops, laptops, more common now, tablet PCs, or iPads and iPad 2s, Safari browser. When you're using a Mac device, you want to use that Safari browser. But cross-compatible with all those different devices. So just stick to the supported ones, and you'll be browsing nice and clean. Other feature, and if your features are not, see, I might have a bunch of green checks because I've gone through this pre-flight a few times before. So the settings on my computer are up to date and meeting these requirements. If yours aren't, you're just going to get a red X with instructions and links on how to correct or how to set those features to the appropriate level. So don't worry if you don't get a bunch of green checks. Red X's come with instructions and links to help documents or other links to download services like Adobe Acrobat Reader, the free Reader version. Just our services do work with Adobe Acrobat Reader, so have that as the predominant PDF viewer on your computer will be a benefit. Exporting forms to PDF, converting forms to PDF, things like that. Adobe plugin. The other two, JavaScript and cookie support, really are browsing settings. So if you're not getting them, you'll get red X's with how to correctly apply those to your account. So just run through that. It'll just be the first run through pre-flight. Next, I always like Mike Moss do a flame up there, and then click here to continue, top right corner. Again, this is the first time that you log in. You may have gone through this already. If not, when you go through, you are going to be required to accept the terms of service. So do read through that terms. Really, as long as you're going to not try to resell our product or something to that effect, you should be okay accepting it. But do preview that terms of service, accept the terms, and bottom right-hand corner, blue continue button to move forward into your account, logging into your online TransactionDesk account. Now, TransactionDesk offers a lot of features, and I say that sometimes both good and bad, because it's a lot of features. It can be a lot to learn. It can be intimidating, new products and features. So we actually have broken it up into two different views. The one that we're going to look at today, that we are looking at today, that you will typically log into for the first time, is the Lite view of TransactionDesk. And you'll see that top left-hand corner says TransactionDesk Lite, as opposed to the top right corner right now where it says TransactionDesk Pro. It is the same exact account. There are no differences in the two accounts. It's not an upgrade to get to Pro or anything like that. They're two views into the same exact account. The Lite view is just less is more. It's fewer features, fewer choices to get started, just to get introduced to online transaction management, typing up forms, creating transactions, uploading a document. That's what we're going to focus on today, those kind of essentials. Printing a blank form, typing up one form, creating a transaction file to generate a form packet and really replace that manila folder with an online transaction file. And that's what the Lite view is, the most commonly used features, the less is more approach. We have follow-up webinar sessions where we'll discuss getting to know the Pro and the full document management. So some of you will be fine with that. You'll like the Lite view. It'll offer you the services that you're most interested in. Some of you are going to want more, and you're going to want to go to the Pro because the Pro view is more is better. Just more features, more services, more functions. But that's really the only two differences. The content that you create in one is visible in the other. So anything you create in Lite to start, you can see in Pro as you make that transition if you choose to. Otherwise, this is TransactionDesk. Big blue bullet points here across the front horizontal of the screen. Forms. We're going to start here. We're going to go to Forms. We're going to talk about the Forms library view. We're going to print a blank form, go through the steps to highlight that. We're going to show how you can type up and then print a blank form. Just that essential of kind of getting the look, the feel of getting started and typing up forms. Then we're going to spend the remainder of the session, not on documents, but on transactions and starting a transaction file, adding multiple forms to create a form packet to deliver that packet outbound, email, fax, or print. But then to receive it back using faxing or scanning and uploading services to get that signed copy retained online for state-required retention period. So that transaction file concept. But first thing, just to make sure everyone feels comfortable in a pinch or in that hectic moment, go to the Forms bullet there, left side of the screen, clicking on Forms, Library View. By default, it's just an alphabetical order of 31 different forms you have access to, provided to us by West Alabama MLS and Alabama Forms. So, Forms Library, to be able to access, print a blank form, or type up an individual form to be prepared for printing or emailing or faxing. So just a quick speak about it. If you know the form by name and you want to type in that name in the search for form fields, you can search by name. You can also by folder. So if you know if it's in a particular folder, you can click on that little drop-down menu there. And this is one essential feature I'm going to start speaking to and emphasizing as we go through this demonstration is these upside-down triangles. These are essential little menu features that if you're not seeing these triangles, if you're not opening them, you're not seeing 60% of TransactionDesk services. So I'm going to try to make sure during this Essentials class that you're going to understand it as an essential button that you want to be clicking to see the services available to you. So these are the folders. There's just if you want to filter them by a particular folder view. Otherwise, I'm just going to click over which one would we want to talk about here. Just scrolling down, looking at these folders. Yeah, they say empty, empty. It merely suggests that I've never typed up a version of this broker's verification form, as opposed to the buyer agency agreement, which says it contains forms. I have typed up one of these before. I have created a copy of this for a previous buyer client. But first things first, if you follow me to the right-hand side of the screen, that little printer icon, if all you wanted to do is print this to go meet with that new client prospect, click on the printer icon. It's going to convert that online fillable form to now just a PDF document. This PDF document is now in printable format. I can just use the right mouse buttons. This is where you get to use that right mouse button on your mouse. You're consistently using the one on the left. Now is the opportunity to use the one on the right. By clicking that button, it is going to launch this menu. I can print that blank form. It's just a blank form. You can print a few out. If you use these when you go meet with that first substantive conversation, you can get that signature or whatever's required from the printed document. That's it. That's printing a blank form. We're going to back up now. I'm just going to return back to that form view, top right corner there. Just returning back from this blank form, because maybe you want to type it up first, right? That may be more what you want to do. Get some content in there. If your handwriting is anything like mine, you want to take every opportunity to type it up before you print it out. So I'm going to click on the form name. This is generally where I like to work from this view. Click on the form name. Opens up this form, shows me the versions I've created previously, so I could re-access that form that I've typed up. I can create new version of this form. So here's a phrase we're going to start pointing out as well. I would like to. Every time you see this phrase, it is in combination with that drop-down triangle. You click that triangle, you see the features that are available. What would we like to do? Create a new form? Select and then email, fax, or delete a form. So these are the drop-down features that are available. So I could click on Phil Phillips Buyer Agency Agreement and would reopen that form for Phil. If I need to make an adjustment to it, I could make that revision. But you logged in for the first time, you're going to have probably says done or something to that effect, 0 saved forms. I would like to create new form and click on that blue arrow. Call it the go arrow because as you see, as you hover your mouse there, it kind of gives you that little instructional bubble. So I just call it the go arrow because it is just that instructional bubble. And we're going to open this form in Incident Forms Forms Editor. And this is the only thing that's different about the forms is the editor. So if you used a different forms editor previously, that's the only thing that's changing. The form itself is exactly the same. Fillable fields are the light blue fillable fields. So if I do know that, Phil was the other. So let's go with Peterson Pete. And date. Here's first shot at that pop-up. These are calendar. I'm in the middle left-hand side of the screen. They are little calendars. When you click on them, allowing pop-ups is going to allow that calendar to pop up. Can add my information in here. Using the tab key will take you from one field to the next. If you like keyboard shortcuts, the tab key will take you from one fillable field to the next. See my cursor is blinking there, and the effect for a period of days, probably as many as I can get after it's over. Let's say 75. You want to go through, you want to type up this online form. We're going to type up, just going to put his printed name in here. So I can type, and I've typed up this form. Maybe even my name here. Looks like it should go there. But if there is a limitation of the forms library view, it's just this, blank forms, from scratch forms. That's why we're going to see such a value working with transaction files to get this content to pre-fill from our transaction file detail. But got to know essentials, how to just type up a form. And just to be clear about these fields, they are free form text. You can type or paste, and typically ABCs or 1, 2, 3s or special characters. There's going to be no restrictions on the content or type of characters that you can that you can add into those form fields. Different forms, if it's specific to a dollar amount or something, it may not allow you to put in a character, but otherwise free form text to type or paste, anything that you can copy to your computer's clipboard, so to speak. See if I can't get a quick copy. Anything I can copy to the computer's clipboard, I can paste onto those fillable fields. So all the light blue fields are fillable. So now I want to print it. So I'm just going to scroll up top left-hand side of the screen, speak to these drop-down menus before we exit out of Forms Editor. File. Right from here, right from the Forms Editor, I can go and access a new blank form. If I've typed one up previously that I want to make some revisions to, I can access or open that saved version I have for Phil Phillips or something to that effect. If I can access my Forms library through that file drop-down. I can save the changes that I've made. I'm not going to yet. I want to show you some more of the prompts that happen. I can export this typed up form to a PDF now. I can export it out to a PDF to save offline to my desktop or laptop USB drive, something to that effect. I can print it now to paper. All I wanted to do was type it up first, then print it out. There's the print feature to now turn this to paper. And this is sometimes where the path diverges in the wood a little bit. Some of you will print it. You're going to go meet at the property, at the coffee shop, and so forth. You're going to print it to paper. Some of you are like, well, I want to send it now. I want to send it outbound. I want to email this, or I want to fax it to Pete. I just talked to him on the phone. I want to send him this document so we can sign it, so we can get that moving forward. So I can send it outbound via email or fax. Faxing services don't need to be within 1,000 miles of a fax machine. It's all internet. It's internet-based. It's right out of your TransactionDesk account. It's not really an email account, so to speak, but it is an emailer attached to your account. The email will be sent from you. Let me just go ahead and do email. Choose that feature. So the email, you will be the sender, but the email account or address would be do not reply at TransactionDesk. So it's not integrated with any of your email accounts, but it will send outbound email. PDF attachment by default. You can also send a link, the form as a link. So when your recipient clicks the link, it opens the form, the online form on their computer. Nice feature about that is it gives you feedback loop. When they click on that link to open your online form, you're notified that the form has been opened. You can even go so far as to allow them to make changes to the fillable field. You can give them fillable access to your online form. Again, notifications are sent to you each time they log in. Any change they make, you are notified of those changes or updates. You can do it. If it's the craziest thing you've ever heard, you don't have to do it. You can simply send it outbound. And we'll just say Peter. Deal here, email. We can add carbon copies to this outbound. We can add blind copies. We can put our message in. Please review and call with questions. That's what I always type. Lack of creativity. You'll see it come through many ways through this demonstration. Something that might not make sense to you right now, but I'll put a little pin in it. Send fax back cover sheet. Yes, absolutely want to include a PDF attachment of a fax back cover sheet when I send this email message. Again, so this will be queued for sending. You are instructing TransactionDesk to email this form, link to this form to your recipient. It's been queued. You'll get an email notification when that form is successfully sent. You will get continual email notifications of the actions that are taking place within your account. So those are a couple of the drop-downs, and these are the same whether we're working in the individual form library view or within a transaction file. These files, these sends, the formats for font, style, color, and size, uppercase, lowercase, title marks, watermarks, and so forth. You can change those features on every individual form, on even every individual line. You can change the font, style, color, and size. View, you can zoom in or zoom out. You can jump to particular pages within this form of contract. Transaction. Once we actually maybe get it signed back, we want to make sure we get it signed back first before we start a transaction file. But that's what this transaction dropdown will allow me to do. I can start a new transaction file right from this individual form. Once I get it signed, if I want to move forward, say, okay, now that I have an agency signed, I want to move forward and get purchase contracts and all the other features of this sale process going. So right from that transaction. Insert clauses. This is something that you need to set up in your account first. It's just some content that you want to add. We cover how to add it in the follow-up, faster files, better files session. But you create clause content. What's a clause? A standard provision, just language that you like to use in specific sales situations. You can create that clause, access it here through Forms Editor, paste it into your special provisions or other fields that would accommodate those clauses. Yeah. Last drop-down feature there is help. Lots of online help is available, both tutorial-based, screenshots, Captivate videos on instructions on how to complete specific actions, but also live support. We'll show numbers and features for this, but toll-free support, email support, live tech chat support. For Central Time, it would be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday Central Time for that live tech support chat and toll-free dialing. So all of those features available right here through the header of Forms Edit mode. But for now, we've typed up our form, we've emailed it. Now I just want to exit from Form Editor. And you're saying, but Greg, you haven't saved yet. And that's kind of the nice part about Forms Editor. After the first 5 minutes of editing, and every 5 minutes thereafter, it's going to do an auto-save. If I've made changes within that timeline and haven't saved, it'll be prompted to save. So all those changes or updates I made have been saved. And now I can see that version of the form right here within this form folder. I can come back at any time. I can even rename it. So if I wanted to make it Pete Peterson, follow me to the right-hand side. It's got this little wrench where it says Rename Document. Clicking there gives me the opportunity. Maybe like the other one, I'll just add that client's name to it, just so I can differentiate it from other ones that I've created and save that. Individual form. Like I said, if it is a limitation of it, that is it. We work with one form at a time. We complete one form, we deliver it outbound, then we go back to the form library, get the next form, type it up, deliver it out. So it is very, say, one-off. But sometimes that's how it happens. You get one starts many. So the first one is important. But individual form library. I'm going to back out to the Home tab. If you do have questions, please do not hesitate to type them into that Go To Training sidebar. Going back to Home, that Go To Training sidebar may have collapsed against the right-hand side of your screen. If it has, you should see a little red block with a white arrow. By clicking there on that, make sure it's the arrow. If you click on an X, it will close you out. So click on the red block with white arrow to expand that Go To Training sidebar. Two features. One, the bottom feature is chat, so you can type chat questions into that chat box, and we're reviewing those and answering as we go through the demonstration. The other you may have interest in is the materials section. Clicking on that little plus sign next to the materials section will expand it, which has links to our recorded content, to our online calendar, to schedule follow-up webinar sessions for your office or team, and just features of this Go To Training session. Now we're back on the Home tab. We talked about forms. So that's the individual form library. Type one up from scratch, delivered outbound, email, fax, or print. Like I said before, we're going to leapfrog documents now and go to transactions. We want to spend pretty much the remainder 30 minutes here on transactions, clicking here. Because that's one form is okay in those situationally, but for the most part, when you get that new prospect, when you get that new customer, you want to start a new file. And if today you go and reach for that manila folder and start putting paper pages into that folder, you want to replace that with one of these transaction files and add digital forms to the file and upload digital documents to that file and manage it that way. So first things, let's just take a quick peek at a transaction file. Clicking on the file name, hopefully this emphasizes to you that you can always come back to these transactions. Clicking on the name, we go to transactions, click on the file name to open that file. just so we can see the elements of an online transaction file, bringing all of these features of management, file management together. First is details. And remember, we have these MLS integrations to import this property information. Actually, let me go ahead and grab this. We'll show off that integration here. We're about to start our new file, so let me grab that number there. We'll reuse it to bring in this content. Basically, everything that we see here at the top of this page was imported from the MLS along with the list price, and I added the inclusions and exclusions, typed that in. There's nothing that's required. There's no requirements in here. The list price came over with the MLS import. The comments and list features and stuff like that. So none of these, you don't see any asterisks. There are no required fields, but certainly can add this detail. And it's a value because it will auto-populate the corresponding fields in the forms that we attach. So adding these dates is going to populate those form fields, adding the list price and inclusions and exclusions and legal description and subdivision and parcel ID. Getting the content here is the equivalent of typing it into my forms. So I add it here and it will auto-populate all of the fields. But nothing's required. We could skip it if we don't have it yet. We can certainly skip through it. And we're going to move in the top left-hand side. We're looking at the Details tab in kind of the top left-hand corner just under where it says Transactions/Details page. We're in that tab. We're going to move left to right here, go into Contacts. This is where we can add the contacts to our transaction file. Buyers and sellers, cooperating agents, brokers and loan officers, title agents, and surveyors. Whomever is a party to your transaction file can be added as a contact. Same deal. You add them here, they're going to autofill those fields. Seller will auto-populate the seller fields. Listing broker fields. Listing agent, same. Selling agent. All of those different contact types will auto-populate those form fields. So speaking of forms, clicking on the Forms tab. Forms tab, starting to see buildings of form, packets of forms. The I would like to phrase, there it is again, I would like to. Add new form. What else would you like to do? Delete forms, email forms, fax forms in plural. Print selected forms to PDF, which will actually merge individual forms into whole form packets. But start building those packets rather than one at a time. Boom, knock them out here. One auto-filled with our transaction file content. So we attach the forms we're going to need to execute these types of transactions. Documents, next tab. Documentation. So what's the difference between a form and a document, right? Because semantically, they're the same. It's a form, a document, a contract. We've got 50 names to describe the same piece of paper. TransactionDesk sees them differently. TransactionDesk sees an instanet form. It's online and fillable. So think of those two together, fillable forms with the fillable fields that I can type up and deliver outbound. Typed up, completed forms delivering outbound. Documents are what I'm receiving back. They're the signed, ratified contracts. They're home inspections and surveys, settlement statements. They're all that documentation that you're receiving throughout the sale process. You can fax documents in. I click here on this fax cover sheet to give you a first look at this faxing technology. There really are 4 distinct faxing services that come with your DocBox and TransactionDesk account. First one we're talking about right here is fax back. So hopefully it's kind of in the name, if you will. First thing, it is brandable. You can add your own branding to this cover sheet to add your company logo or appropriate branding for your content and correspondence. But fax back. So these are your delivering outbound or printing one for yourself. So you can fax documents back into your transaction file. The toll-free number is generic for 400,000 users. The toll-free number is a generic number, and it's the barcode that is unique. We do offer account upgrades to personalized faxing, but out of the box, TransactionDesk out of the box experience, cover sheets, barcode technology that converts your paper fax to PDF documents. Using these cover sheets essentially turns your fax machines into scanners. You're feeding that paper fax machine, paper. Your output is PDF documents. So these PDF documents will deliver these documents right back to that particular transaction file. It is that specific to your account, to your transaction, to your level of usership. Once these faxes are received back to your account, you're receiving email notifications that the faxes have been received. PDF copies of those faxes are attached to those notification email. So outbound faxing using inbound faxing using the FaxBack cover sheets. We did see from Forms Editor that you can fax outbound. Any documents, completed forms, you can fax outbound from TransactionDesk. You can use these FaxBack cover sheets to receive faxes inbound to your transaction files. While we're talking about faxing, top right-hand corner, you see a link here. It says Instanet Fax. It's the third faxing feature. It's a fax to email technology where you generate a cover sheet similar to the FaxBack with the barcode technology. Remember, those barcodes are turning your fax machines into scanners, because when you use that Instanet Fax, our receiving fax machines read the barcode, convert to PDF, and deliver to an email recipient. You define the email recipient when you create the cover sheet, and it's a fax to email technology. Returning back to documents, that is the cover sheet. Speaking of the fourth faxing service, as we're looking at the documents for the last, is email to fax. I'll just leave it at you can actually start by composing an email message and deliver an outbound paper fax. So 4 different faxing services, part of your member benefit. I would like to, there's that phrase again, drop-down menu, uploading documents. So this is when you have them already saved on your desktops or USB thumb drives or your, the computers that you're working on. You're saving them right now. Maybe you're saving them offline, just locally on that device. Put them online so they're available from any computer. So they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anywhere you can log into your TransactionDesk account through any internet-enabled device, you can access your documents. It's part of your member benefits. Keep that in mind. Everything that we're covering today is as part of your membership dues to the MLS. Last tab is the History tab. Shows all of the activity that takes place within your transaction file. Time and date stamp, when it happened, what happens. If there's a value change, it would show you the old value and the new value. So if I clicked here on the details on the right-hand side of the screen, clicking on that blue icon with the little eye in it, view details. And when I imported from the MLS, to get started, these fields were blank. City, address, county was blank. The new value was the content that I imported in. So it'll show me anytime something has changed what it was and what it is now. Robust history. Try to get that out of a manila folder. It's just not going to happen. All right, so that's what it looks like. Let's start one now. Transactions. Clicking on that link, top center of the screen, just shading to the left, just a smidge. Transactions. Click here. Come back to the transaction view. Re-access any of your online transaction files. I would like to create a new transaction file and click on that go arrow. We want to start a new transaction file. Go through the steps here to set up a file and create a form packet. Get that form packet moving outbound. The only requirement you can see on this screen, whether you know it's a requirement or not, but if I give you long enough, you probably could figure it out, is the name, the transaction name. That's all we're required to do. To work with transaction files, you just have to give the file a name. So should we stick with the buyer? Yeah, we'll do another buyer. We'll stick with Pete Peterson. We kind of got out that buyer agency agreement to him, and we emailed it out. We've gotten it back. We're ready to move forward. Start a file for Pete. So let's just give it that name. This is Peterson, Peter, and he's decided he is single-family residential buyer. Freeform text, so please type in your transaction names any way that you prefer. This is just the way I do in these demonstrations, but by no means take it as the must. However you are required to by your office or like to for your business practice, please continue to name your files in that consistent way. I would just say be consistent. Transaction type, is it required? No. It's not, but I think it helps filter them so you can search for them later. Maybe it doesn't sound like it makes a whole lot of sense when you only have 2 or 3 files, but think of it if you have 20 or 30 files, then being able to filter them by listings or sales may be a benefit. There's also ways to add content for different transaction types and things like that. We discuss how to add content to your accounts in that follow-up session. Not really an essential feature getting started, but nice to know that you can add to those columns if you choose to. Do you want to import from somewhere? We are going to show the import from the MLS, but you could also import from a previous transaction file. If we had a different file in here, or if we have a similar one, we can certainly start by pulling data from an old file into a new one. We are going to import from MLS to kind of show off that integration, and we choose that feature. We get a little additional pop-up on our screen, our MLS provider, the property type, and MLS ID. And I'm going to paste in that MLS ID. We grabbed it earlier. I believe it was residential, but if not, we'll try multifamily next. If I get an error, we'll try the different property type. We're also going to just define which side of the file we're going to be working on. When we chose residential sale, we were selected as a selling agent. We can choose it if it's not correct, but by default, we'll go as a selling agent. You can be neither, or hopefully both, for your benefit and your client's benefit. Otherwise, we're going to start the new transaction. Save it, start it, get rolling with it. Clicking here on the Save Diskette, bottom right-hand side of the screen. We gave our file a name. We're importing from the MLS as the selling agent and clicking on Start File. And you might not have the MLS ID right out of that front gate, but you can always get that, import that content into your existing file. Make sure I clicked on it. I did. And now I've probably created 2 files for my being impatient. Don't, like my mom always used to say, do as I say, not as I do. So please just click it once and give it an opportunity, because it is reaching out to the MLS. It's finding that MLS ID. It's lining those up and importing that content back into the transaction file. So as much as I am as impatient as everybody else on this call, I would imagine, just give it that extra 10 seconds, and then it will typically be in great shape. We have started and saved our transaction file. We have imported from the MLS. You can see the content that's been brought over. We are in the Details tab, top left-hand side of the screen. Red confirmation there. The transaction was successfully created. MLS was brought over. Address, city, state, zip. Content brought in. List price. Again, no required fields. I did add some content I showed previously. And why you might, because you might know that that shed in the back, or the above ground pool, something like that, or excludes the riding lawnmower, something to that effect. Adding some content, is it required? Absolutely not. Can you come back at any time and add it in? Absolutely can. Do we benefit from adding it in? Yes, we do, because it's going to auto-complete those form fields. So as I choose from the calendar icons, again, pop-ups, allowing those pop-ups as a value. Maybe you know it is it's a pocket listing, you're just getting started, but you want to put some dates in. I want to put dates in just so you can see the autofill features, and so that's why I'm adding them in. It's for your benefit. So you can see that these are calendar icons. So you can choose those dates. You can type them in as well. Those are fillable fields. So if you prefer to do it the old-fashioned way by typing, you can certainly. I don't know why that would be before the other date, but why not? You can type it in, but picking from the calendar is pretty nice as well. Add only what you benefit from or what you know now. Come back at any time. Add, update, revise. Probably scrolled away a little too fast before I mentioned it, but there are save buttons here at the top right-hand side of the screen and bottom right-hand side of the screen. But just in case you were to willfully opt out of clicking those or just forget, as you go from details to contacts or to another tab, you will be prompted to save your changes before leaving the page. Do you have to? No, but probably for this benefit we will. Save your changes. Go on to the next tab. What do you have? Well, we know we have Peter to add. I would like to. There's that phrase, add transaction contact. There's the drop-down triangle. Remember, that's what has all the additional features. Like I said, not always a lot, but always a little something in there to consider. Clicking on the go arrow, we're going to add Pete here to our transaction file as a buyer contact. Pete is the buyer. Keep clicking on that caps lock's getting in my way today. You can see there are some integrations here. Insert from contacts. It's gone crazy. Insert from contacts. So you do have unlimited storage for prospects and contacts. We have integrations with Microsoft Outlook and Top Producer so that you can import those contacts into your TransactionDesk account. You'll follow my mouse just a little bit high to the right there. See the link, contacts link? That's the storage space. That's where you can save your contacts. You can access them from any internet device. You can, once they're in there, you can insert them into your transaction files. You can insert them into your outbound email messages and outbound fax sends. So you can save. We'll see that here in just a second, but while we were up there, I thought I'd point it out. What do we know about Pete? Add what you know. Are there required fields? Absolutely not. Do you benefit from adding in? Well, from a prospect standpoint, you probably wouldn't be getting too far without at least a phone number or email address, so we'll add those in. They could also populate your form fields, right? So there could be some needs for addresses and cell phones and so forth within your forms and contracts. Bottom left-hand side, add to my contacts. That's how we're going to add them to our database, because as I slide my mouse to the right-hand side of the screen there and click on that Save Diskette, click, two things happen. One, Peter has been added to my transaction file. The second is he has been added to my contact database. So saved in two places, to my file, to my database. Continue to add the parties and contacts to your transaction file. If you have husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, parents and children, add them in separately. You want to add them in as separate buyer contacts or separate seller contacts. Add them in separately so each will autocomplete the printed name fields under those signature lines. So that's the importance of adding them separately so that they'll autocomplete the form fields, those separate form fields under those signature lines. Speaking of forms, that's the next tab. Forms tab, I would like to add new form, highlight another drop-down triangle there, but otherwise click it on Go. So you can see that most of these tabs, most of these pages have these I would like to menus. You're going to have options to work within those menus with those forms and with the content. So we're going to grab a few forms here for this new client, right? Because we sent them outbound. The buyer agency signed it. We got it back. Met with them, sat down at the coffee shop, signed it, or however we got it back from them. So we're starting this file, and we're going to add the additional forms we're going to need. Apologize, I don't know what they are, but we're going to go here and we can grab a few. Purchase agreement, that's always a good one. Let's grab that purchase agreement. What other forms might be in here? Requirements. Maybe the addendum. I'm going to press and hold the control key on my keyboard. See where it says that just above? Press and hold the CTRL key and use the mouse. Pressing that key, selecting that additional form. Got those two forms. Maybe the MLS form. Let's see what might be in there. Probably would need that. That's for more of a selling, listing opportunity. One more just to do it. Pre-closing occupancy. Got to be your biggest nightmare client. Clicking to add that additional. I've never done one. I've done the lease backs, but never the pre-lease. Clicking the add selected forms. So you go through the list. You pick the forms that are going to be required for this for this client. Remember, we've already gotten the signed agency agreement back that we can now upload into our file as well. We'll get to that in just another moment. So let's work with these forms for a minute first. We'll come back and get the documents into our file in just a second. But let's first work with these forms a little bit. First things I want to do is select them all. So I'm in the middle left-hand side of the screen, up by where it says Forms, that top checkbox, clicking there to select all the forms. I could certainly remove one if I didn't necessarily want it selected at this point, but we're going with all of them because I would like to. That drop-down menu, now that I've added forms, I have a bunch of features in here. I like to show this one off as often as possible. Auto-populate forms. This is how we're going to get our details and contacts and dates into our form fields. So this is an essential step in reducing redundant data entry and saving yourself time, energy, and effort. Once you've added those details and those contacts and those dates, auto-populate your forms with that content. Choose it, click on the go arrow, you'll get prompted, pop-up prompt, dates, details, absolutely, clicking OK. That's the way data moves in your transaction desk from your transaction files into your forms. So add the details to your file, populate your forms with that file detail. Let's take a look at that purchase agreement, clicking on the form name to launch the form in Forms Edit mode. Same Forms Editor. We looked at it once. We looked at it twice. This is a little bit different just because there's some additional features because we're in a transaction file. Most visually, I think, is the column on the right-hand side of the screen that shows the 3 forms that we've added to this transaction file so far. And I say so far because you could always have additional requirements as you go through. Maybe something becomes identified that you have to deal with in terms of property-specific or client-specific feature of property or something. But column on the right, simply and easily and quickly click through them. As we type up one form, we can quickly go to the next, There's a drop-down menu here to be able to print, email, or fax selected forms outbound so we can work with them together. This is where you can really start working with them together, managing these form packets in a packet style. Nicest thing probably about this is I can collapse the column against the right-hand side of the screen. So this red minus sign is actually going to allow me to do that. This form is taking a little bit longer. Again, patience. We'll allow it another few seconds here. Good time for questions. If you have any questions, other than why is it taking so long, questions into that chat section. Sometimes the first load does take a little bit longer because it is loading up all of the forms and actually all the forms library because we have access to all of those features right through Forms Editor. As we'll see through our transaction link here, we have access to the entire forms library to be able to add new forms to our transaction file. So it's kind of loading up a few of those features simultaneously here. It's also auto-populating our forms with all our transaction file detail, and we kind of see that a little bit behind. This is going to be one of those do as I say, not as I do. I'm going to close that, X that out just to kind of keep moving forward here. The only thing that may have happened is perhaps some of my content didn't autofill, but I'm fine to move forward without that for this demonstration. So, but Forms Editor, it's the same as it was in the individual form library. The fillable fields are fillable. I can click from the calendar icon if I'd like to do that, but I can also type or paste into these fields. So it's going to give you that freedom of the content that you want to add to your form. So you see we have benefited quite a bit from content added in. We didn't add in the purchase price. If we had, it would autofill. But all these fields, fillable fields, as you hover your mouse, it's going to tell you the name of the field and the maximum number of characters. We could add this content in now. We'll say, was it 119 will be nice. Always like to be nice during these demonstrations. Earnest deposit. Again, this is content that we could have added to the file. This was in that details tab. I wish I had now, but otherwise add it in. Type it in. Use the tab key to go from one fillable field to the next. And if it's not immediately obvious, we're now in that buyers will pay cash. There's a checkbox there. Last keyboard shortcut, I promise, but it's a good one. It's the space bar. the space bar will actually add or remove check marks from those check boxes. So I could hit the space bar, add it there, click on tab to go to the number, and we'll say 7 just to be different. Tab, disagreement, buyer obtaining loan approval, not if it's cash. But if I need to select, here's another example, press the space bar to add it in, to be able to add to that particular field. Sorry about that. Go through, complete the forms, all the fillable fields, typed up, all the optional and required fields for these. Let's see if I can use this. View, go to page. See, it didn't completely load up that page, but that's all right. All these are the same. The one I did want to point out, transactions, add new form. So here's where I could access the forms library, import a new form into this transaction file, add it to the column there on the right, and be able to work specifically with that additional form with this transaction file. When I type up this form, go over to the little plus sign now. It's a plus sign in that top right corner to expand that column, so leave the purchase form and go to the addendum. Clicking on that form name, we'll leave the form and go to the next one. Type up all your forms and contracts, add those in. I think I have one, so I just want to point it out, this clause feature, big fillable field here. Insert drop-down menu, clauses, clicking that action. Pardon me, I guess I don't have clauses, but this is content that you can add. I think that you'll want to add as you build your TransactionDesk account. But as you create these clauses, you'll be able to paste them into your forms and contracts. Closing out of that clause window, exiting from form editor. Because now that we've actually typed up the forms, I think we want to try to deliver them outbound. We do have some choices here, excuse me, as I kind of got a drink there. We can select the forms that we want to send outbound. I selected the top in the middle left-hand side, selected that top checkbox again, which selected all 3 forms. Excuse me. I could email them. Emailing them, to show that step previously, is going to email them as individual attachments or individual links within that email message. I could fax them outbound. I could send that paper fax. I could order them and send them outbound. What I can also do is merge them together now. Print the selected forms to PDF. So that's the action I'm going to choose and click on the Go arrow, show you this merge feature. First thing I'm able to do is put them into a meaningful sort order by first selecting the form and then using the green arrows up or down to move it into that particular order. I think that would actually be a pretty good order. Put that purchase agreement, addendum, and then pre-closing last. Meaningful sort order, bottom right-hand side, save the PDF. It's going to merge these 3 individual forms into one comprehensive PDF. I'm going to get that link here. I also get it down here. I'm using Internet Explorer, and this is how it offers you access to those forms. I'm actually just going to click out of that one and just click on this link here on the page. By clicking it, take me to do the same thing, but just a preference, I guess. Completed PDF that I can print to paper. I can save offline, export to PDF to be able to send outbound, email, attachment, and so forth. Generate that. Maybe I want to print it out. And this is really, again, where that pastite's diverging in the wood. But do you want to print it out to paper? Do you want to email it? Do you want to fax it? Do you want to do digital signatures? We do offer AuthentiSign, a digital signature component. It's not part of your member benefit, but it can be an integrated digital signature. So you could now take this completed form packet and prepare it digitally for e-signatures with AuthentiSign. Could be a nice upgrade if you find that to be a value. But digital signatures. But however you're delivering them outbound for your signatures, whether it's by print, by email, or fax, you're getting them out to your clients, and you're receiving back paper pages that you went and got ink signatures. You're getting back fax pages or fax back directly to. I mean, that's hopefully an integration that you start using, maybe even an email message with an attachment. But we want to get those documents now back online. So I'm clicking here on the Documents tab. Buyers, maybe you're getting pre-qualification letters from lenders and loan officers and other features of your sale process in that way. You want to be able to get these back online. And anytime you send outbound emails or faxes, you're going to be prompted to include that cover sheet, that fax back cover sheet. So your recipient, when they get the email message, they print out the document, they print out the fax back cover sheet as well. They use it to fax back directly to your online transaction file. So you're automatically prompted every time you're sending outbound features. When you send an email or when you send a fax, you're going to be prompted to include the cover sheet that your recipient will be able to use to fax back signed or otherwise updated documents to you. The other way is to upload them. So maybe they, on their end, scanned it to a PDF and emailed it to you, or otherwise got it back to you as a PDF or other document type, even an image file, if they sent you some type of image or other document in that type. I would like to, there's that phrase again, I would like to upload documents, and click on the Go arrow. Clicking on that Go arrow is going to bring us a little upload prompt. And here's the accepted file types by just hovering there, middle of the screen there, accepted file types, PDF documents, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, within a list of image files, GIF, bitmap, JPEG, TIFF. So all these are supported by your TransactionDesk service. These document types, be able to add. Clicking here on Add, maybe you are uploading now that buyer agency agreement that we got from our client. Let me just, for time here, let me just pick one. I don't have one in particular, so we'll just use this one. Double click, adds it to the list. We can certainly add more. We continue to add the documents that we have that we want to include with this transaction. So just by clicking that blue plus sign, we'll have access to our locally stored documents, if you will. These are the documents that are on my laptop computer. Find the folder. I find the document that I want to upload. Add it in. When I have all my documents, bottom right corner, upload. Clicking on that upload icon, it's going to move those documents from being stored on my local desktop or laptop and move it now online to my online web-based transaction file, where I can then access it 24 hours a day from any internet-enabled device. And as we close out this session, we've got about a minute left or 2 minutes left. Any internet-enabled device, and hopefully this is a good incentive to come to follow-up sessions, but the Building Better, but also the Intro to Pro and DocBox sessions will talk more about accessing through iPads and tablet PCs, accessing through DocBox to go through your smartphones and mobile phones. So you have all these different devices supported to be able to get into your online transaction files to manage that sale process. But with that said, we're going to go back to, we'll just back up to the transactions link just to see those files. There's our documents have been added. Make sure I should verify that they've been added in. And now I can email them, I could fax them, I could deliver them outbound to other recipients if necessary. Otherwise, backing out, back to transactions to see our list of transactions that we can come to. I thought I might have created two. So be mindful. Count to 10, and then it'll be done. Back to the Home tab. Clicking on Home, I'm going to re-raise this audio message. Be very mindful of everybody's time and thankful for the opportunity to present a couple items first. One, there was a question that came in, wanted to answer directly regarding logos. We do offer, and it's also a email address I think I'm going to show here, but we do offer branding opportunities. You can brand your forms library. I'll show you the email address here so that when you do open up a form, it can auto-populate your forms and form packets. So there is custom branding of your forms library that way. The one I have highlighted here is a webinar for your office or team, tungle.me/webinar Greg. It is a free service that we offer for interactive office or team level webinar sessions. They're free. This is our online calendar that you can access for availability of time and day. We can tailor the session to the content that you want to cover in the time that you have to cover it in. And then more interactive, where we can discuss, we can talk and discuss implementation strategies to make sure everyone is going to get the highest and best use of their new member benefit. If you are on Twitter, always a lively conversation going on there. There's that toll-free number. Make sure I point that out, 800-668-8768, Central Standard Time, 8 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for sales and support. If you have interest in Authentic digital signatures, could be a nice add-on feature. Or if you have support, if you have questions that are more than how do I, if it is not a how do I question, give our support team a call and they can answer just about everything else. Try to answer all the how do I questions here on our YouTube site. Lots of recorded content, youtube.com/Instanet webinars. So getting up to about 90 different videos, a lot of 1 to 5 minute videos, short how do I tutorials, how do I send that fax, how do I send that email, how do I upload branding, questions and services like that, all the way up to 60-minute overview sessions. So a full complement of online recorded content that you can download and review anytime you have interest or insomnia. Webinars at Internet Solutions, certainly compel you to ask any questions you may have now through that chat section of the Go-To Training sidebar, but maybe you just don't know what you don't know yet because you haven't driven, you haven't gotten in there. So when those questions do come, webinars at Internet Solutions is a great email address for that. We will answer timely and appropriately to the questions asked. So webinars at InternetSolutions.com. Please let us know how we can best assist. The last one I wanted to add here was logos. So you want to send that logo to logos@InternetSolutions.com. Again, to brand forms library. And it's just for your forms or your office forms. We can add that logo to the form along with other Alabama or West Alabama MLS logos. So please do continue to type those questions, but thank you very much for the opportunity to present. I do hope this webinar was a benefit to you, and until we webinar again, I hope you have a tremendous, tremendous day.